Hello, everybody. It's Angelia. Welcome back to Read and Reread. Today I have Friday reads for December 30th. I skipped last week. We were just busy with family Christmas stuff, and it just didn't fit in to kind of go off and film and edit a video. So I just let that one go. And really, there's not that much difference because one of the books that I've been reading took up the whole past week. So I actually did not get very much farther than where I was the last time I did Friday Reads, but it's still been a really good reading week. So, first of all, about update on TV shows. So last week when I did not make a video, we finished Severance, which was definitely one of the best shows I've seen in quite a while. And I highly recommend it. The first season is done. They're making a second season. It's a bizarre science fiction show about a company that divides your brain so that you have a work life and a home life and you don't remember your identity in the other place. It is bizarre. It is darkly funny. The cast is fantastic. And every single episode, when it gets to the end, you're just like, no, I can't believe it's over. It was just really excellent start to finish. We also finished, I guess it was the second season of Ted Lasso. We were enjoying that a lot too. And that one kind of snuck up on me. It was one of those ones that's a comedy. It started off like it was just going to be kind of fun and goofy. And then, like a Trojan horse, the emotional heft kind of rolled in. And it turned out that it actually had a lot more layers and characters developing. So we've really been enjoying that one too. Now we have started Bad Sisters on Apple TV, and we've only seen a couple of episodes so far, but it is a very, very dark comedy. It's Irish, and it's about five sisters who are adults, and they are it's contemporary. They're a close-knit group, but one of the sisters has this horrible, just absolutely ghastly husband. He's mean, he's emotionally abusive, he's narcissistic and manipulative and awful, and everybody hates him. And the other sisters gradually begin to think that the world would just be a better place and their sister could begin to thrive again if he just didn't exist. That is all I'm going to say, but so far it is really good. It's funny. The cast is good as well. And that's what we've been watching. All right, so on to the reading. When last we spoke, I was kind of at the end of Case Study by Graeme, Macrae, Burnet, a book that was on the Booker long list this past year. I liked the book, and I liked a previous book of his that was also on the list called His Bloody Project. Now, okay, so here's the thing about this book. I really love the structure. I like what Burnet did with this book. I know you feel a but coming, and it is coming, but the idea here is that there's a young woman it's the 1960s, and there's a young woman whose sister has died of suicide, and she feels like somehow her sister's decision is linked to her visits with a controversial therapist named Collins Braithwaite. And so she develops an alter ego and begins to go see him herself to try to find out what goes on in his sessions and whether he played a role in her sister's decision to end her life. Her experiences are captured in some notebooks that she kept, which fictitiously have found their way to the desk of Graeme Macrae Burnet. So the premise here is that he has read the notebooks, and he has also researched the life and times of Collins Braithwaite, and also examined some of the books that Braithwaite wrote, and then he has put together this story. But everything is fictional. But he does it so well that you second guess yourself, and you go and you start Googling Collins Braithwaite. And then you find that Burnet has embedded another layer, and he's put a fake article on his own website in which he kind of stumbled into the story of Collins Braithwaite and researched him, and here's his piece of what he found. But it's all entirely made up. So the conceit of the whole thing is really fun, and even though you know it's fiction, you keep stopping short because of other people that really existed that are inserted into the story. And so we have the one story of the young woman who invents a alter ego, and she chooses the name Rebecca, and she's inspired by the novel Rebecca. And Rebecca has a different personality and vibe than the unnamed girl. And as the story progresses and she makes visits to the therapist, Rebecca starts to compete with her and kind of take over, and she begins to unravel. And it's very fascinating. And then the other storyline is the biographical story of the therapist, who is very bizarre and interesting in his own right. Um, One of these storylines for me successfully concludes, and the other one does not stick the landing, and I was left unsatisfied. And I don't want to say more because as a spoiler, because I'm not saying don't read it, but I'm saying that for me the ending was not satisfactory. And I've read other reviews that also felt the same. Some people absolutely loved it start to finish. Some people felt like I did. So that's what kind of brings it down from love to like for me. But that was case study. Then I read a book that is for a group that I'm in with the tea club, my tea subscription club. And we have a book club, and their January selection is Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. I found it at the library. This is sort of a light, I don't know, a light fantasy, a little magical realism, mainly because there are ghosts in the story that have some chapters of their own and are presented as they're not like mental ghosts, there's ghosts. So the book takes place on Mallow Island, which is a fictitious little island in the area of Charleston, South Carolina. If you know anything about Charleston, it really is made up of a whole bunch of different little islands, and they all have their own kind of vibe and culture and tradition, and some of them are like tourist places, some of them are more residential, one or two of them are sort of artist colonies. So Charleston's just kind of like that, and so she just sort of invents an extra one and puts it into the story called Mallow Island, which is famed for its natural mallow plant, which was the original form of marshmallows, but then they became, more like synthesized or whatever. But so this island is a tourist place, and there's all kinds of traditional marshmallow recipes and the foods in the restaurants and things like that. And there's a young woman who is going to be starting college in Charleston, but she has inherited a condo on this island from her mother. And when she arrives, she finds that it's an apartment building. It has just 5 apartments and a manager, and it is kind of an odd group of people. But it's one of those found family stories. She slowly gets to know each of the people, and they become closer. Like they were all living there and not really connecting with one another, and she is sort of the impetus for new friendships to form and mysteries to be revealed. Everybody has some kind of unfinished business or family secrets or personal baggages and things like that, which relates to the ghosts. And so it's one of those stories where there's surprises and mysteries. Some of them you can see coming a mile away. There's some romance that you can see coming, 5 miles away. But it's on the lighter side. So if you need a light story that's not just completely fluffy, it's a good pick. I enjoyed it for the month of December because I kind of wanted to read things that weren't especially heavy or devastating, so it kind of fit the bill, and I think it'll be fun to talk about it with the group. Which brings me to the hefty doorstopper that I have been reading ever since, and I think I had maybe when I had just begun it or was getting ready to begin it the last time I did Friday reads, and now I'm just about to finish it. I have either today or tomorrow I will finish this, so it will sneak in under the wire for 2022 as my last book. So this is The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton, And I got this copy on Thrift Books earlier this year for like $4. And then I was real excited when it got here because it is a signed copy. And it's a book I've been meaning to read for several years, and I never got around to it. And then I decided to read it right now because I had kind of the right number of days for it to fit in as the last book of the year. And I knew I would be getting some books for Christmas, and I did that haul video the other day. And so now I'm going to finish this, and then I'll have kind of a fresh slate for my January TBR. So this has been really good. Let me just cut to the chase here. I really am enjoying this book. It is a historical fiction mystery set in New Zealand in the mid 1800s. And the little town is a gold mining town, and people are arriving there to seek their fortunes, reinvent themselves, present themselves with different identities than they might have had in the past. And at the beginning of the story, there is a meeting of 12 men taking place in the drawing room at a hotel, and a 13th person inadvertently kind of walks into the meeting because he was staying in the hotel and he just thought he'd walk into this gentleman's lounge, and have a drink. And he didn't know that he was interrupting this meeting. But he ends up getting drawn into the meeting. At first, it's funny because she talks about how he didn't read the room when he walked in. He just kind of walks in, gets out a cigar, pours a drink, and all of a sudden, as they start to talk to him a little bit, he realizes that he interrupted something and that everybody is pretending to be doing something, but they're all kind of frozen, trying to figure out who he is. Like, there's people playing poker or reading or taking a nap, but everybody's faking it and they're just like listening to him. So their story is that they have come together to try to put together all of their different pieces of information and perspectives on a few mysterious events that have occurred in the town. And the town at first presentation is kind of like New Zealand Deadwood. It's kind of ramshackle. There's a bunch of hotels. Some of them are kind of nice. Some of them are pretty seedy. There's a camp section where the Chinese people live, and there's these kind of rough outback parts, and a few mysterious things have occurred. So there was a man who was found dead in his cottage. There was a large amount of opium found in there as well, which they don't know if it played a role in his death. There was a bunch of gold hidden all around inside his cottage. At the same time, a local prostitute was found unconscious in the street from an overdose, and at first it is thought that she did it on purpose. And somebody has disappeared. A local person who seems to have a good amount of money has vanished. So all these things kind of happen at once, and also a ship captain that is apparently disreputable has kind of had appeared and left again rather abruptly, all during the same time. So they all have different pieces of information of who they talked to or what they knew that might relate to this, and they gradually, over the course of a day of running into one another, decide to come together and meet and lay it all out on the table. Except they really don't, because everybody has maybe something they're withholding for their own reasons, or their different angles that they're trying to play in this situation. So although they all do tell a story, nobody really tells the whole story. And Walter Moody, the 13th man who just sort of accidentally came into the meeting, hears everybody's story. And then, so this takes up like a third of the book, just getting through all the stories. And then the plot moves forward. And it's just a really fun, very layered mystery with lots of characters, lots of personalities. A different setting with a different feel that I really am enjoying. And it's got a little something for everybody. There's crime, there's fraud, there's liars, there's con artists, there's courtroom drama, there's a seance, there's just everything. So it's very fun, and I'm near the end. And if you never have read this, like I had not, I do recommend it, and don't be put off by the length. If you are just patient at the beginning and pay attention to the gradual presentation of the main characters. After that, it clicks in and the ride is very smooth and fun. So that was the Luminaries. That's what I've been reading. Once I get to the end of that, I have a wonderful assortment to choose from, and I will be doing a January TBR and a 2022 best of video. Those are both coming up in the next few days, and I'm excited. I kind of have them ready. I just haven't filmed them yet. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So let me know, what have you been reading over this past couple of weeks, or what are you excited about starting? And that's all I got. I appreciate all your comments. Thank you for liking. Thank you for those who have subscribed. The year is coming to the end, and I've had a great time, and I'll be talking about it a little bit more in my best of 2022. But for now, I hope you have a really good weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.